Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason. It is tool review day today, and when I say tool, I mean the super advanced, state-of-the-art, brand new Aventus airbrush from Gaahleri. So what is the new Aventus? Well, it's a completely new airbrush that's been designed completely from scratch, from the ground up, with everything re-engineered, rethought. The whole thing is new. It is not made up of old components or partly old components. It's not an old airbrush in a new shell. It's a completely new beast. And with that comes some more innovation from the people that keep bringing us innovation. So Aventus comes in two different formats. It comes as a standard airbrush where you can choose different colours, or tailor-made. This is the tailor-made version where you get to choose your colours and you can personalise it. So that's the one I'm going to take you through, but whichever option you end up going for, the fundamental airbrush is exactly the same. So what you get this outer box, cardboard box, and on the back it's got the full strip down of your airbrush, and then inside that we have an aluminium box. Yeah, aluminium. This is a permanent storage box. It's got rubber feet. It's brushed aluminium. It's really nicely presented, and it's intended to be a permanent case for storing your airbrush, and it is very, very nice. It was also a little bit of a mystery how to get in, I have to be honest. I assumed that it would be a lift top box or maybe a lift off box, but a bit like one of those Moroccan magic boxes that you have to try and work out how to get in. It took me a little bit of time. I mean, I'm talking a few minutes, not like a week or something. But actually what you have to do is you have to unscrew it. So there's two little screws, and then the lid slides off. It just adds to the sense of occasion and quality, and it's really, really interesting. I'm going to show you the inside of the lid because I really love this feature as well. So inside the lid we've got this, basically this is an extrusion with a screwed in base plate at the end, and the extrusion's been designed to allow you to keep the manual for your airbrush in the lid. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. In fact, I discovered that by accident because when mine came, the manual was actually on top of there, or maybe it came out at some point while I was pulling this out. I don't know, quite possible, but it was it does tuck in there nicely, so I'm sure that's what it's for. So we have a quick start guide here in multiple languages which deals with the operation of your airbrush, just like any other Gaahleri airbrush that you may have seen me review on this channel in the past, and we have reviewed a few now. So once you've got the lid off, we've got some protective sponge. Then we've got a little card which is showing you the different atomizations you can do with it, and it says on the back, we have tested this airbrush to ensure it fully meets Gaahlerie's quality and performance standards. So every single airbrush that comes out of Gaahleri is hand tested to ensure it's okay before it comes to you. So that's really cool. Then in here we've got a little card with links to all the socials, and it says each Gaahleri airbrush undergoes a series of stringent tests before leaving the factory to ensure that it meets our high standards in all aspects, and what to do if you do find a fault, although it's extremely unlikely, although I guess it can happen. And then it says here, this is quite interesting, Gaahleri airbrushes feature a quick self-centering nozzle. This is an entirely new design that allows you to quickly remove and attach the nozzle without the need for any tools when cleaning the airbrush. This greatly improves convenience and avoids the risk of damage that can occur when using a wrench to tighten the nozzle. Well, as it happens, I've never used a tool on any Gaahleri airbrush, but of course I have done on other brands, including some big brands like Aventus, and it has caused me problems. I've stripped threads, I have over tightened. Everything on a Gaahleri airbrush I tighten to finger tight, and I have never had an issue. Okay, so what we've got in the box is we've got the airbrush, we've got 2 paint cups, we've got a second needle, we've got the air cap and nozzle assembly for the second needle, which in this case is the 0.4. We'll talk more about this technical spec in a minute. Then we've got a second air cap. You get to choose which air cap you come with. As standard, it comes with this little air cap here. We'll talk about that in a moment too. And then you get to choose one other. It also comes with this inline moisture trap, which is very nice. And also comes with this inline airflow adjuster. So rather than it being on the airbrush, like some are at this point here, you can change it quite nicely in line with the built-in quick release mechanism as well. So that's a really nice touch, all included. Now if you buy a tailor-made, you will get on here a number, because there's as I understand it, there's going to be a limited quantity. What that is, I don't know, but you will get a number there to tell you what number your airbrush is. I don't have that because I've got a pre-release version. So yeah, you also get the feature with the tailor-made, where you can choose the colour of the body and the colour of the tail, and you also get to personalise it. You'd never guess what I put on mine. Yeah, there's 3 different fonts you can choose, and it tells you you can put on there anything you like. I think it's limited to 15 characters including spaces, and then it says tailor-made on there, and on this side it tells us Gaahleri and Aventus. So let's talk a little bit more about the airbrush and what you're actually getting. So the Aventus comes as standard with 5 different themes. Black Aurora, I've got the black element there, Titan Mist, Midnight Tide, Verdant Ember and Crimson Crown. The last 2 have a mix of 2 different colours, body and tail. I have to say, I quite like that. I mean, if you've got an airbrush, you're a creative person. So the fact that they're allowing you to personalise it and be creative with your tool, I think is a really nice touch. I mean, we've had coloured ones before from the big brands and even from Gaahleri, but you have to have the colour they're offering. So the fact that you can personalise it, I think that's a really nice touch. But all of that's really by the by, that's aesthetics. What we're really interested in is what is the technical aspects of this brush. Well, the first part is this is a 3-part brush. I don't believe I have ever seen a 3-part brush before. So if we were to compare it with the rather excellent Mobius airbrush range, you'll see that that's 2 parts. You've got this here and this here, but it's not actually 2 parts. It's actually multiple parts and they're welded together. So here there is a weld, and this is two separate parts that have been brought together, welded and tidied up to look like one part, but it's actually not. And if you're a heavy user of the airbrush and perhaps you treat it a little bit without respect, you can actually break it. This is three parts. We've got 1, 2, 3 parts. This here is one machine part, so there is no weld. So that's one of the elements. Now, Gaahleri are saying this is groundbreaking. It could well be. I have never seen it on any other airbrush, so I'm not going to disagree with that comment. But the three-part modular body, it unlocks endless configurations that we were just talking about in terms of colour if you're going to go with the tailor-made, but it's not really endless. There's a finite number of options for both. So yeah, I mean, and it looks nice. What it does is it gives you this feel, this personal feel, but also you've got the ingenuity behind this being a fully machined part, so machined in multiple directions, a really complex part to make actually. So very, very nicely done. The Aventus, well, that comes in at 76 grams. That's a huge saving in weight. Making it lighter than an Iwata Eclipse and even Hader and Steinbach CR Plus. That means things like less fatigue and being able to do more extended working, but also it's so comfortable in your hand because it feels more like holding a fountain pen than an airbrush. It's that sort of weight. It really does feel much more natural in your hand. So a combination of the weight reduction, the calm island, and the fact that it's this shape here, so you've not got the direct down, you've got this angle. It all feels a lot more natural. I mean, it is just like holding a pen, but it's even more comfortable because you've got the flats there. So that means you're gonna get really nice balance. I mean, it feels really comfortable in my hand. It's not top heavy, it's not back heavy, it just feels right. But that means that when you're spraying, you've got more control and more stability. So Gaahleri have also redesigned the trigger and or main lever as it's properly called, and we've got this new sort of teardrop shaped one, and my favourite main lever so far has been this one, which had a little curve on the front and a drop down on the back. And what I liked about it was the amount of contact you still had with your finger when you were using it, and even if you're one of the people that uses thumb, you still had lots of contact. This improves that further again, and watch what happens as I pull back my finger. You can see I've got more of my finger in contact. It's basically doing the same job, but even at this stage here where it's right down at the front, if I want to just nudge it back a little bit, I've got this little extended little piece, just this little bit longer. It just helps me with more contact, and more contact means more control. The other thing I like while we're talking about the main lever is the resistance when you press down. It really does feel smooth. You don't have to press too hard, but it's not loose. It really does feel positive. So it feels very comfortable, and the action, moving back action, feels good as well. Now, like most Gaahleri airbrushes, you have a stop on the back. It's a simple screw in, screw out. We've got a new design which is really elegant and looks really good, and it follows the line with this little teardrop here. So what you can do is take the trigger right back to full stop and then just screw that in, and you've already made your stop, and then it's easy for you to just screw it in a little bit further. to control what you're doing, and that helps with you not getting a fatigued finger from having to hold it into place. You can take the stop in and let the airbrush do all the work for you. So another good feature, if you've got one of those airbrushes that doesn't have a stop, you'll absolutely notice the difference. The other thing that's noticeable just from holding it is the really nice feel of the brush. You can see, other than the front section here, it's matte, well, sort of satin, but it feels really nice. A bit like having a smartphone in your hand, an Apple phone or something like that. Now, what they've done is they've done some form of advanced anodizing process. I don't pretend to understand it, but what I can tell you is it feels really nice in your hand. You get a good feel of quality, and it's not rough, you know, even though it's matte, it feels smooth to the touch. It really does feel quite refined. Because it's aluminium, it's obviously corrosion resistant, and you can put anything through here because all the seals are Teflon seals as well. So everything we've talked about so far, you get pretty much as standard with the Aventus. If, like me, you've got the tailor-made one, you're getting the aluminium carrying case, you're getting the little tab, which gives you the unique number. You'll also get your serial number on here. So where it says tailor-made in the center, yours will be up slightly and will have a number on, and it just gives you some personalization. It's all part of that, trying to give you a feel of a quality product that's personal to you. Now, also on the tailor-made, you get the moisture trap and the female quick release connector. All Gaahleri airbrushes as standard come with the male part of the connector already fitted. I generally find that these are okay. I have had one that was a little bit temperamental with the female part, but I couldn't tell you whether that was the connector, the male or the female part of the connector. So what do you do with these then? Well, let's show you. You've got two options really. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find my airline that I can disconnect from. So you can, as you would normally do, just put your quick connector onto the end of your airline, like so. And what that does is allow you to quickly swap into your airbrush or disconnect it for cleaning or whatever. And it's adding no weight to your inline, but what it is adding is this control. So what you can do is you can set your air reservoir pressure, and then you can drop or increase that pressure here without having to go back to your compressor, which is often a little bit further away from you. So it's just giving you some fine control within the air pressure that you've already set, which is a handy feature. And because it's on the connector, that'll swivel round, so if you're left-handed, right-handed, you can get it in a comfortable position for you. But you can also connect the air trap to it. So let's just show you that. The did I say air trap? I meant water trap. The water trap thread will allow you to put the quick connect into that. And what this is doing is any moisture in the air, it's trapping. Now you've probably already got moisture traps on your compressor, but some compressors don't have them. So the little tabletop compressor that Gaahleri make, for example, doesn't have a moisture trap, and in some humidities you may need it. So what this does is it allows you to put a moisture trap in line, so you've got one exactly where you need it. So you can see if you're getting any moisture, you know, it's all visible. This isn't glass, it's some form of hard plastic, which means that you've, you know, it's lighter than glass, and it's not getting in the way particularly of your spraying or your airbrushing. So, you know, I can hold that and it's making no difference. In fact, it's quite comfortable. It's a bit like the trigger. If you think about where it is, it's a little bit like the trigger on a pistol grip airbrush. So yeah, it's making no difference to me holding this how I want to hold it or anything like that. And it's just that extra level of protection when you're using certain compressors. Now, if you've got air traps, moisture traps in your compressors at the front end of the hose, you probably don't need it, but it is a really good accessory to have, and it gives you ultimate flexibility. You can take your airbrush in the case to your modeling friends club night or what have you, and if it doesn't have a moisture trap on the compressor that's there, you've got one to hand. So I quite like that. I don't think it's something that people will necessarily need to use all the time, but it's really handy to have it, and they're quite pricey to buy, so the fact that you're getting it in there as part of the kit is a nice touch. Now, of course, the proof is actually in the testing, and that's what we're gonna do. But I thought before we get to the testing, let's just talk about the cost. So the tailor-made version with all the trappings is $246.99, but right now there is 20% off as an introductory offer and the Black Friday sale price, and you can get an additional 10% off using my discount code, which you will find in the text underneath this video. Just click on more or read more, and you'll find that it's there. You'll also find a link to the Gaahleri website. If you use that, Gaahleri know that you've come from me, and that just helps for them to send me more products to review. So what do you get for your £246 less any discounts? Well, you're getting your 0.2, your 0.4 needle. You're getting a fine line air cap, which is the one with the prongs, and you're getting the round wide air cap for the 0.4 needle. You get an additional air cap. You've got 3 you can choose from: a distance cap, a crown air cap, or a 6-hole pattern cap. You've got up to 100 combinations of different colours, and then you get your personalised engraving. You get the female quick release with fine air pressure adjustment, and you get the moisture trap along with 2 paint cups, your aluminium storage box, and your personalised collector's number. If you buy the standard version, you've got 6 different colours you can choose from, but you can choose whether you get a 0.2 or a 0.4 needle, is my understanding. So you get 1 needle, but you can choose which type that you want, and obviously you don't get the air trap or the fine adjuster and the female connector part. Just the standard Aventus is gonna cost you $175.99, but with the 20% off, that's $139, plus I can get you 10% off that as well. So depending on where you are, shipping prices vary. What I would say is your best deals are on the website, not through Amazon, so use my website link. Okay, now we've said that, let's get on and put it through its paces and do some painting with it. Okay, time to start testing this airbrush then. So what I've done is I've set it up, I've put the inline mac in so we can play around with it with the air. I've not put the water trap in because I've already got one on the other end, so you're not going to get any water collecting in there. You're not going to be able to see how it works because I've already got water traps built into my my airlines. But most compressors will have them on, so it's only worth using it if you've not already got it at the start of your airline. But a lot of them have already have them built in these days. But still very nice to have, because I actually do have a little tabletop Gaahleri compressor that does not have a water trap, so quite helpful. So we're going to play around with this. So let's start with, I've got the number 4 needle in here with the standard wide cap. So that's going to give me the widest possible shape to my atomized paint as I'm laying it down. I'm going to use black Kaleido paint so we can see how it performs on my mule here. So with the exception of one strip, nothing on here is black, so any black's going to have been put down by me. I'm using the smaller of the 2 paint cups, and I've got the MAC open. So yeah, we're ready to go. What I've done is, I'll do it again just to show you, just as part of the initial setup, I've taken the trigger all the way to the back and then driven the stop in so it's touching. So I've got full back on this if I wish to, and we're just going to check the airflow as okay, and check I've got needle movement. Yeah, I did tighten up my chucky nut. So the great thing about the Kaleido paints is they're pretty much pre-thinned. I've never had to thin these yet. I'm sure I will do in the future for different tasks, but I've never had to yet. So we can put the Kaleido paint straight into the cup. We're only going to put a few drops in initially. Right, so we're ready to go. So we're going to start with big sweeps. Now, that means taking this and putting some paint down and seeing what happens. I'm going to leave the tail free because that means I've got something to hold. And what I thought we'd do is start by doing the underside of the tail on the widest setting and just see what happens. So, air on. And then gentle pull back to get the paint to atomize. There we go, we can see the paint. So I'm about halfway back there. God, that's good. That is so smooth. Okay, let's go full back on this wing and see what happens. So what's my distance? 5 centimeters maybe. Air on, pull back. Yeah, so on full back, I mean, at that distance, it's just too much paint. You can see the paint is, yeah, it's just putting down too much paint. So I don't even need to be anywhere near full back to be putting down the paint layer I want, because you want it to be nice and thin and build it up. So let's just do this other side again. So quite a distance back, you can see. And I'm hardly pulling back, and I'm just being able to put down a nice light dusting. Yeah, that is so nice. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the nozzle, so we're not changing any other setting. I'm just changing the nozzle from the wide one to the one with 6 holes, which was my choice. You can get a crown if you like, which will give you a different airflow shape. So what this is going to do is this is going to give me a more focused atomization, and it's also going to bring in the air through the holes and just give it a bit more of focus control. So even on the number 4 needle, I'll be able to do some fairly small paint patterns. So let's just test that out. So I'm just going to do some block painting just to start with. So air on. So I'm just halfway on the pulling the trigger back, and you can see I can block paint quite well, but it's more controlled. So my spatter pattern is a bit tighter, so you know that sort of little spatter you get on the edge, that's a lot tighter. So that's you know, I've been able to keep that within the line relatively well on my number 4 needle there. So air on, paint on, about halfway at this distance. Lots of control. Yeah, lots of control. And sometimes when you're pulling back on the trigger, you can think, you know, oh, I'm at risk of this slipping out from my finger. This nice wide surface area, I feel like I've got more control than I've ever had before, so I'm really enjoying the trigger. Right, we're just going to put a little bit more paint into here because we wasted quite a bit on that. I always like to give it a quick shake. You do get a mixing bowl in the Kaleido paints, in all of them, so that's really handy. Okay, let's see now if I close up the airline. I'm just going to screw that in. I'm going to screw it in all the way, and then I'm going to open it up a little bit. So that was a couple of twists out. So what I'm interested in is how much control I've got, and if I get up close, how small a pattern I can do. So still a number 4 needle, remember. So we're about a centimetre away. I've got air on, and I'm just going to pull back. About a centimetre away, pull back. And that's much more positive, isn't it? So restricting your airflow allows you to do different air effects and what have you, different paint effects. So, you know, that's not bad. Number 4 needle, that's not bad. So I'm just going to increase the distance a little bit. And I'm finding about halfway is my touch point. And it's quite clear where the edge of my spray pattern is, so it's easy for me to get in. Now obviously that's a bit large for doing things like panel lining and stuff. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But what is noticeable is I'm getting a nice, smooth, even pattern. Ah, it's going down really nice. It's such a nice brush. Right, okay. So let's see what I can do in the way of little dots. Still with a number 4. Yeah, I can get big dots. That's about as small as I'm going to go with the number 4. Okay, so the number 4 is allowing me to put paint down in relatively large areas, even with the more focused air nozzle. You know, I can do relatively fine work, but it's not anyway. It's not detail work by any stretch of the imagination. Now what I can do is I can thin this paint so it flows a little bit more, and that might allow us to do a little bit more detail. But I'm interested in, so yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of thinner in and see what difference that makes, because what I'm interested in is getting all the paint out of here before I change the needle partly, but you know, how much control I can get with different ways of working. I think it's going to be easier to see dots and dashes and things like that on here. So this is still the number 4 needle, remember. So if I get in nice and close, I've got a surprising amount of control. That's a surprising amount of control on a number 4 needle. I know I can do that with a number 3, but a number 4 just being that bit bigger, actually, I'm surprised. That's partly the setup I've done and partly thinning the paint. So let's just have a look. So if we go close, so that's full on. So I've got wide coverage from a bit of a distance all the way up to, what's that, about 3 millimeters from fairly close. So yeah, that's not a bad performance. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to dump this paint, and then we're going to swap to the number 2 needle and just see how we can crank that up a little bit. Okay, so we've now swapped to the 0.2 needle. I'm using exactly the same paint, so there's no performance difference, and this is completely thinned. So I've flushed the needle out. In fact, I've done a strip and clean just to be absolutely bob on that we're comparing like for like, and we've got a full understanding of the performance. So that it's been stripped, cleaned, and then we've reassembled with the number 2 needle, and we've got the little rock horns hair cap on. That's what I like to call it anyway. So we're going to have a little bit of a play now with this and see what this is like. So first thing I'm going to do is just put some air through, make sure I've got no dust or anything like that. So we'll start with seeing if we can put a panel line down along here. So I've got a panel line there, and I want to get this up close and see if I can do panel shading. I mean, you're watching this live with me. I've not tried this before. Paint on. Sorry, air on. And then I'm pulling back. Well, that's quite a fine line. I've never done that before, so that was interesting. So I'm now doing it I can get in and get my tip dry. I've got a bit. Let's pinch that out. So yeah, I mean, that is a really fine line. Let's just on this side do it from a bit more of a distance and see what happens. See if we can get that black area extended across the red. So I'm going to start at the root of the wing. So I'm, what, 3 centimeters away? pulling full back, yeah, gives me the ability to do bigger areas. Obviously it's a bit more labour intensive because you've not got as wide a spray pattern. That's not what the number 2 needle's really designed for, but you can do it. I've got a lot of control. I think I'm running out of paint. So that's how wide I can go. So yeah, nowhere near as wide as the number 4, but you can do a reasonable area. I mean, if you're painting figures and stuff, the number 2 needle is really good for that. And look how small we can get. So there is quite a range in the number 2 needle. That's what I'm trying to show. So I'm just going to flush this through, and I'm going to thin the paint a bit more, and then we're going to go back to the mule. So I'm about 2.5, 3 centimetres away. And what I'm finding with the number 2 needle is I can get these little window panels and get fairly well in the lines. I've got lots and lots of control. I'm going to just move my stopper forward a little bit. So I can do shading. I can do some quite nice detail shading there. Just going to take that out of the way. I think it might be interfering with the autofocus. There we go. So at a distance I can put quite subtle paint effects on with fairly thin paint, just make it look a little bit mucky and grimy. Or I can build up the layers and get nice coverage. So yeah, I am getting a little bit of tip dry, but it's dead easy to pinch it out. So yeah, this is the level of control you've got is really, really nice. So at a distance with thinned paint you can do some really quite nice effects. Let's just see. And then up close, if you've got a steady hand, you can definitely do panel shading that's quite precise. I'm finding about halfway, pulling back halfway is about the bite point for the paint. It's it gives you everything you need, and it's so light that I've got no fatigue. I mean, I've been messing around now for hour and a half with this, and I've got no fatigue at all. Absolutely loads of control. I absolutely love it. There's loads of things you can do with this. You've got so much control. It's so comfortable. Yeah. What can I say? I mean, it does everything you expect an airbrush to do, but it's light. The atomization is really, really fine. You've got tons and tons of control. You've got the additional controls of the stop, of the inline mark. Yeah. Every time they bring an airbrush out, I go, oh, this is the best airbrush I've ever had. And I'm saying it again, they just keep improving it. The main point here is the improvement in the nozzle, which is an improvement on what was quite a leap forward in the first place. So yeah, and visually, it's a beautiful, beautiful bit of kit. So I really like it, and I'm going to do some more airbrushing just because I'm having fun with it. Until the next time I see you, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.